Well, thank you so much. Thank you for having me and with my colleague Hugo to spend the next 50 or 60 minutes speaking about vendor invoice automation. I think it's going to be useful for people who haven't had the possibility to know more about the out-of-the-box functionality about vendor invoice automation. It's true that this functionality is not too complex, but in this session, what we have done is to complement with Power Automate. The idea is to enhance all this functionality in order to have, you can see a real business scenario with all this functionality. From people who don't know me, 11 years ago, a long time ago, I started up the first Spanish community focused on Dynamics 365. From the beginning, of course, as you can imagine, was AX. And right now we are roughly 6,000 users. Of course, everything in this content is in Spanish. And this year we want to celebrate that we have over more than 10 years working together in the community. And we want to do a virtual event in April. So if you can more or less understand the Spanish, everybody is invited. Rincon Dynamics, as Andre and Sohaib told before, is a reference point from for Spanish tongue content in Dynamics, and it's working really well. There are many forums, many questions, blogs, and a lot of content. And if you participate, you can win a virtual ring coin, and you can exchange ring coins with training for free. There is inside online training with a lot of courses, again in Spanish, because I think with this language, it's important to help for people that they can have a good English level. And it's a pity, there are a lot of content in English, but it's really difficult to find in your local language. So for this reason, we are making a lot of effort in order to have more and more people ready for our technology. I'm very lucky because also 6 years ago, I studied up Axazure. Axazure started as a personal project. Right now, we are doing great things. We are working right now in our 7 big go live with FNO. I think we are the first partner in the world with 3 MVPs in FNO so far. And really lucky to work with a lot of talent in my company and great people. All my professional life working with Dynamics, I started with the AX 3.0, and I've enjoyed, to be honest, with this technology because grow a lot, and I'm feeling close to the product team, and I'm enjoying it. MVP from the last 9 years in a row. So again, I'm very lucky. I've had the possibility to know incredible people like Sohai, Andre, or others that right now are working in Microsoft. And of course, if you want to contact me, it's very easy in Twitter, Instagram, or even if you want my professional email for any doubt, I'm completely open. I come very well accompanied because Hugo, are you there?
Hello, let me switch on my camera to say hello. Hi, I'm Hugo de Jesús, like the presentation said. I'm a functional architect in Axazure and director as Antonio. I'm so glad to be there, surrounded such a great professionals. But I want to apologize in advance for my level of English because it's not the same as Antonio. But I will try to do my best. It's a promise, and that's it. Antonio, please go on.
Well, thank you so much, Hugo. It's a really high challenge to speak in English, and finally he's going to do a very, very good demo with the product. So again, Hugo, thank you. What we are going to see in this session, we have a split in these 4 points. I think it's interesting to speak more about the out-of-the-box functionality. In advance, I think it's really, really not simple, but not too complex, the vendor invoice automation functionality. And after understanding this point, it's important to see how this functionality can fit in a real business case. So our idea is to explain a real business case that we have found in other customers, and the way we have solved without code, using Power Automate, using vendor invoice automation. And I think you can go out from this session with a great idea if you want to deploy in your customers or in your companies. Hugo is going to explain the different Power Automate condition that he did for having all this demo working. And of course, the idea is not only to see these slides. We want to show you product. We are a company that we love the product, so our focus is to see things working. Very fast. This is not official. This is point that I've seen interesting about vendor invoice automation functionality. If you don't know anything about it, it's not anything magic. I mean, of course, if you want to import vendor invoice to the ERP, you need to have a data package. You need to have data package with 3 entities if you want, with the header, vendor invoice line. And if you want the document attached, you need the third entity. You need to have this data package ready for receiving all this information in the ERP. After that, there are many functionality that you also had in vendor collaboration portal, like automatically submit import invoices. Well, this one not simulate posting prior to posting the vendor invoice, or automatically match product receipt with the 3-way matching policy. And when the data package import all the invoices to the system, you have the possibility to set up inside to receive all this invoice in a workflow. The key or the thing that it's really, really interesting in this integration is that you can have all the error log and key metrics inside the ERP. I mean, there is a specific workspace where you can identify very well the results about the integration. How many invoices has been imported properly? How many invoices couldn't import it, and why? What is the reason? Which error? And we are going to see in the product, and it's really, really easy to understand that this functionality with the workspace enhances a lot the integration process. So I'm going to change directly to the environment. We have created this environment to see vendor invoice automation. Of course, vendor invoice automation, you need firstly to go to feature management to enable this this feature. Okay. This is the feature name that you need to enable. With this functionality, now there is different things that you can do before starting to using this functionality. In accounts payable parameters, here you can find invoice validation. It's important, at least if you are going to use this functionality, to enable invoice matching validation, this one, and automatically update invoice header, because it's going to be useful for the workflow. And in Vendor Invoice Automation, this is the option that we've seen from the beginning, where you can import the invoices directly to the workflow. Of course, this is voluntary. You can force manually the workflow. Even in this point, you can match product received to invoice line with each line that you have set up previously, the three-way matching policy, or if you want to do after the workflow. Okay, so we have this part settings. I think if you go to system administration, it's important in this section, name process automations, to enable submit vendor invoices to workflow. This specific process, the PT, it's not the PT, but if you want to set up repeats by minute, it's not possible because the frequency, the minimum is the hour. So you have to specify by hour, and to enable this process, again, we are going to see a workspace. This workspace has a Power BI, and if you want to have your data refreshed, the vendor invoice automation should be refreshed for having the last data. Okay, this is the workspace. This is the key point for me about vendor invoice automation. Of course, we haven't seen anything about data management, but as you can imagine, you need to configure, if you want to import vendor invoices in the system, you need to create a data package with these entities: vendor invoice header, vendor invoice line, and vendor invoice document attached. Say that, and we can go directly to accounts payable and the workspace. Here, this is the workspace, and you can have this information that it's extremely useful because you can see very fast what has happened in your integration process. Here, for example, we are identifying 6 invoices not imported. If you click, it's very easy to understand that concretely FB finishes 15, the problem was with the currency. So you don't need to create any integration developing error logs because it's here, it's inside the system. Really, really useful. If we go here to the pending invoices, we can identify this form, and it's really, really nice to find, for example, this is one, finishes 15. What has happened here? Okay, you can have on the left side all the information that has been uploaded in the system, and in the right side, the physical invoice about your vendor. So it's really, really easy to see if everything is okay for a starting workflow process. Even if you want, what we said at the beginning, simulate posting, if you want to match in details, okay? So, and there is, of course, the possibility to start the workflow manually. I'm not sure. Okay, yes, the dashboard. This is the other part, I think, quite cool. This is the Power BI, the entity that we have refreshed before. And you can identify here, imagine that you are having integration with all the companies. I love Power BI in this sense inside the ERP because you can see cross vision with all the companies, and you can identify reasons for automation failures, invoices that fail to import. So really, really nice to have what has happened about your vendor invoice entry. This is interesting, but again, we need to understand more. Okay, I have a data package, but the idea is how I can complete this data package to have information inside the data package to the system. And we have created this business case. A customer requests to develop a new process in order to automatically import external vendor invoice. They don't have any system, and they'd like to have a process where the inbox email becomes the first point to start from. A vendor sends an email with one invoice to the company, and the system should identify that it's a vendor invoice and recognize information in the received PDF file. We are going to use here AI Builder, because this way with Power Automate, we can identify information inside the PDF and to create automatically the data package we are going to see with different Excel, header, lines, and document attached. The customer wants to have the control for all the results acquired, included errors, and he wants to receive a notification. We don't want email in Microsoft Teams when a new invoice has been imported, but using as much out of the box Dynamics 365 platform as possible. So this is, I think, a really normal requirement that we can. There are a lot of companies saying, I need an OCR, I need an OCR. Okay, let's start using AI Builder. AI Builder is fantastic for doing this kind of thing, and you can complete the process with Power Automate. I'm going to share our design solution. This is what Hugo is going to explain better with the product directly. We are going to receive an email, a PDF, where our vendor is going to send an email to our mailbox, and we are going to find a vendor using the sender's email. If the vendor that we have detected is set up previously as approved vendor in the system, the Power Automate starts. It starts how? The first thing that we are doing is using AI Builder form processing. Hugo has spent time in training the model. Of course, this is not magic. Again, you need to train your model. You need to say to the system, this format is here, the date is here, the invoice number is here, the concept is here, taxes, and everything. But AI Builder works really cool. When the AI Builder did its magic, we can identify a lot of information inside the PDF, and we can create 3 different files. These 3 different files, everything is inside SharePoint. You can see the very big. And we are adding a row in vendor invoice header. We are adding for each invoice line, adding a row in vendor invoice line. And of course, we need to create the third file for the vendor invoice document attached. As you know, the data package in Microsoft Dynamics has a specific structure, and we need to get header and manifest to create the data package. When we have already done everything, we can use a specific function in Power Automate to create a data pack, including all these files. And after that is when you can set up a post function, send data packet to D365 using DMF API. So this is the way that we are sending all this information to Dynamics. When the system detects that this action has been done, we post a message in Teams channel. And finally, with this information, you are in your Teams working, you receive a message, and you go, of course, to FNO to continue with the process, to finish the process. So I think this is what we are going to see working. And Hugo, if you want, you can start explaining how we have done all the Power Automate conditions.
Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, here we go. Well, the idea with this Power Automate is avoid the need to create all condition to get errors in Power Automate directly. Of course, you can send information directly to the data entities and not using data package, but in this case, you need to create all the condition about get errors, and if an invoice can upload to the system directly, you need to create an intermediate platform to modify or verify this information and then send directly to AX. In this case, the challenging part was create a data package to send directly to Dynamics 365. I tried to show you all the information you need to create the Power Automate, but first of all, we need to create and train the AI builder model. You can start directly from this preview, invoice processing preview, because it's the same, or you can start from scratch. But in our case, we already have a model, a trained model. This model only have few fields, okay, not that much, but because it's very simple, and from one or 2 months, this kind of models allow to create collection, because in the past you need to create one model for each vendor, and this is a mess, because you need to put in the Power Automate the condition that what model you need to use depend on the vendor. In this case, you can use different collection. Of course, the fields are the same, and in this case, you can use only one model. No? This model, for example, is very easy model. You have this kind of fields: invoice, bank account, supplier, date, currency, something like that, and 2 tables: the detail of the invoice and the detail of the taxes of the invoice. Okay, and with this model, we can extract all the information. This is the standard functionality of AI Builder. Okay, once we have the model created, we need to create, or we need to configure some information directly in Dynamics 365. First of all, we need to create an app in Microsoft Azure, create an application to get the permission, okay, to the ERP, all the permission to access to the ERP. And when you have this application created, we need to go to data management. Okay, as Antonio said, you need, first of all, you need to create a data package using to export data package to get all the information of these 3 entities, and then create another one for import purpose. This data package is the point of entry of all the information, all the invoices, and in this data package we created this QA, okay, using the same application, this one, okay, using this application is this one, okay, and this and well, of course you need to create a secret to put in the Power Automate. But this is a standard configuration too. It's not for vendor automation. It's for the application information framework automation. But you need to configure first of all to manage the QA. Okay. This is all the information that you need to create first, and then when you have the model and you have the data migration framework configured, we can create this Power Automate. Okay, this is our Power Automate. It's a simple one because, of course, we can't spend a lot of time to get all the errors that normally happens or something like that, but for a demo purpose, it's enough. Okay, the Power Automate start when the inbox invoice inbox receive an email, and then first of all compare or search or try to find the email, okay, from the primary email address from the vendor, from the sender, okay. If this vendor exists in the system, in the financial operation, okay, go here, review if the format of the file is allowed or not. In this demo, only use PDF, but you can use PDF, JPG, all image format. In this case, if it's PDF, the attachment of the document, of the mail, sorry, start the AI builder to extract all the information. Get the attachment and then extract all the information. Okay. Again, the tricky part here is manage or create the data package, because to do this, we need to create rows in some fields, in some Excel files, and then compress these files in a zip document. And for this reason, we need to use SharePoint. In this case, in SharePoint, we have the three entities, blank entities without any information, okay? The manifest and the package header. And with this information, we can create the data package. But first of all, we need to fill all the information in these entities. And this is the purpose of the Power Automate. First, we create the header in this entity with all values, or all values that the model, the builder, can extract. Okay. Then for each line of the table, of the lines table of the invoice, also we created all the information. Okay. And finally attach the header. This is very interesting, because if you try to create the entities directly, from Power Automate, you can add information directly to Dynamics 365. The lines and the header entities exist, are public entities, but attached document doesn't, because attached document need different structure of information. You can upload directly a binary file to the entities. You need to create this kind of file. Let me show you. Data package with the three entities, and then you have this folder resource with Vendor Invoice Automation document attachment, and here is the attachment. And you can't upload this kind of information without using a data package. Okay, this is why we need to use this information. Okay, in this case, we have all the information here, and then read all the information from SharePoint, the header from SharePoint, the lines, the attachment, the package, and the manifest, and then we compress the file directly to a data package. We create the data package. Okay, we in this demo we are using this functionality, but you have all another suppliers. I don't know what is the name, but in Power Automate you have more than one solution to create compressed files. We created the header, the line, the attachment, and of course we created the folders, the folder with attachment and the attachment into the compressed file. Then we save this is not needed, it's not mandatory, save the data package file in the SharePoint, it's only for trace purpose. And then this is the interesting part, we post directly the information to Dynamics 365 using application information framework automation. In this case, this is the address of the environment, and then the application, the ID of this one. If we open this one and go to manager recruiting job, is this ID. Okay, is the ID of the Cube. Okay. Then send the body, the document, the data package directly, and post a message in channel only for warn a user that the invoice is coming and is ready to use in the system. Then delete the header, delete the row, delete the line, delete attach, and that's it. This is all the Power Automate. As you can see, it's a simple one, but for demo purpose, maybe it's enough. Let me show you an history of one of them to show you what kind of information reflect. The mail, of course, has arrived, but let me show you this one. Okay, this one, PDF, start invoice. In this case, you have the document, the attached the file, the PDF, and then the system extract all the information related to the invoice. All the information with, for example, the total amount of the invoice, the position of the invoice, but the important thing here is the values, the name, the date, all of information. And as you can see here, all of the extracted data have, let me show you, have one data. This is important. This is the confidence value. In this Power Automate, we don't use the confidence value, but in a real scenario, you need to use, because maybe the format is not exactly the format that normally the vendor send to us. And in this case, you need to use confidence to make sure that the value of the field is okay. It's not a misunderstanding of the model. And in this case, of course, you need to compare the confidence because maybe it's less than one. The system not sure that if the correct one. Okay. Well, this is all the information extracted by the AI builder, and then put the header here. Let me show you then. So all the information in the Excel file, the number of the invoice, the currency, the date, the due date, the imported amount, the invoice account, the invoice number, all the information in the Excel file. Of course, the same information in the line. Here, the number of the header reference is not exactly the invoice number, but we use this number like a header reference. The invoice line, the name, all the information of the line of an invoice, delivery name, discount, the price, and go. And then attached document, the header reference again, the name of the file name attached to the email, and the content of the file. Okay. And this is the Power Automate. Let me show you how it's running and send an email, for example, something like that. This is an invoice. This is our invoice here with the number of the invoice and all the information. Okay. And let me send to the inbox email, and we need to wait a few seconds because it's not normally spend 30 seconds, 20 seconds, more or less, but it's on its own equation, 2 seconds or 1 second. But let me show you in the meantime how it's work. Here we have message, and the message have an state. Maybe it's processed, with error. If the information have errors, we can see in execution details the errors exactly the same is a DMF standard, is a data migration framework standard. But this kind of information, for example, because the currency doesn't exist, is exactly the same that the user can see, as Antonio explained, using this workspace, this form. It's the same. This is the way to simplify to a technical user or not a consultant or not a user with experience in DMF to see the error. In the documentation or the docs say that you can see the attachment related with this invoice. If the invoice has error, you can see the attachment, but it's not true because, as you know, in the DMF, if the header entity has error, the second entity can't upload because it's impossible upload some information related with another entity if this entity don't have any data. Okay, and this is, for me, this is an error of the documentation. I already uploaded to Microsoft, and Microsoft is investigating, but it's only the only thing that that have an error right now. In this case, this is the, as I say, this is the screen with the errors, and go back. Let me show you. Right now it's in process, and this is in process because the Power Automate is sending the information. Okay, and I receive. Let me show you in my team a message from the Power Automate to say that the vendor invoice has been created with all the information extracted from AI Builder. Okay, and with a link directly to see the invoice. Okay, in this moment the user can open the system. Let me check if I write it down. Process it. Okay, it's processed. All the information is already uploaded. Okay, the user can go to the workspace, and you have another one pending. Okay, and is this one. This is the last one from today, with all information and the attachment information. And as the workflow is activated to start automatically. Okay, you have here automatic submit to workflow status. Right now, this is not yet run. In this case, yes, but not in this case. And because that, you can't delete the invoices. You need to deactivate this functionality to delete an invoice if the invoice was wrong. In this case, you need to approve or reject the workflow before delete. And then the user can modify, if needed, some information. Okay.
But here, one thing really interesting is to select the PO, the purchase order, because this here on the left side you have the possibility directly to join with the PO.
Yeah, but let me first of all so because you need to end the workflow before that. Okay. In this case, as you can see in Vendor Automation history, you have that this is not the one, this one. Sorry. Mm-hmm. Okay, if the workflow is succeeds, okay, you can edit and modify. Okay. Yes. Well, let me remove the parameters easy, because if we have here the parameters, we can modify or delete directly. Okay. Go. Okay. And in this case, if you deactivate the vendor automation, the workflow, you lost the workflow, the Power BI. Okay, because not makes sense. The Power BI is related to the automation of the workflow, not related to the invoice pending or not imported. It's related to the workflow. In this case, you lose. But now we can edit and delete all the invoices because you don't have any automation here right now. Okay, and as Antonio said, you can go here and in the header here directly. You can include all the purchase orders related with this invoice. Of course, if the invoice include in the physical paper the information about purchase order, this is something that you can put directly in the entities. And if you put this information directly in the entities, you can match, when you create the system, match with the purchase order. And if you have activate the three-way matching functionality,
policy, yeah.
Policy, exactly. The system check, first of all, if the information of the invoice match with the purchase order and match with the packing slip and then match with the invoice. And you can automatize all the flow of the invoice and maybe, but as this is a long shot, maybe you can register directly the invoice. In my opinion, in the real life, I don't think that you can do such thing, because normally this kind of department, the financial department, needs to verify the information and need to check if all is correct. But in theory, you can do it. Of course, compare it with a purchase order or approved purchase order, packing slip, and an invoice, the three-way matching policy. Okay, and that's it. This is all the flow and all the information. I don't know, Antonio, if you like to add something.
Well, to be honest, it's our demo. Our idea was to explain that F&O right now can enhance a lot with Power Automate. This vendor invoice automation, it was the functionality that it was released in the very short time, but I think the best idea is that using Power Automate in different business scenarios completed with F&O, finance or supply chain, is a really, really nice tool for having better deployments without code, without developing new things. And this has been our session. I'm not sure if you have any doubt, you want to ask any question, we are open for that.
Thank you, Antonio and Hugo, for the great session on the invoice automation. The invoice automation has always been a hot topic in Dynamics community, and it's been great to see your session and the entire solution. It gives definitely spark ideas amongst the community to follow your solution. I don't see any question yet on the chat. Okay, there is one question I can see. How do you trust the sender of an email? I do not consider email a safe source. When Dynamics is down, your vendor search and DMF import actions will fail. Did you apply a long retrying strategy to handle this? For DDoS email attacks, do you guard for this by using Power Automate concurrency control?
Yeah, no, of course, the email is not a trusted source, but in this case, you have only two approach. Using vendor collaboration, the portal of vendor collaboration, and in this case, you need to customize vendor collaboration because related with the first question, in the vendor collaboration, you always need a purchase order to create invoice, and if some customer needs to create invoice without purchase order. And in this case, you need to modify the vendor collaboration functionality and to allow to create invoice and then work with that. And this is the most safely point of entry because you need a guest user in your Azure Active Directory to add the information in the portal or to access to the portal. And of course, it's the best way. But some customer, needs to receive an email directly. And in this case, this is the only way to do this. You can check if the email exists in your database, or I don't know. You need you can put another information here, not only the email. Maybe I don't know, in the email maybe some information, but some customer needs receive or already receive this kind of invoices from from email, but I'm totally agree that is not the most safely way to do this.
There is another question. It is possible to match the imported invoice with the receipt ID and receipt ID of different purchase orders.
What do you mean with receipt IDs?
The packing
The
slip
product-
ID, I mean.
Product receipts?
I guess.
Okay.
Yes.
The package slip. Okay. Yeah, you can. If the purchase order have quantity enough to receive some invoices from this purchase order, the purchase order is still open, and you can receive another one invoice and another one invoice and another one invoice. Okay. Until when the purchase order is closed because not more quantity is open, that's it. But in theory, you can.
It's like the same functionality that we already have. The vendor invoice doesn't change anything about the matching. So yes, you can match with different receipts.
Okay, there are some thank you comments, great sessions, and there is one more question. Is this functionality available on-prem?
Well, this is our question because it's not depend of the Dynamics 365. It's depend of the Power Automate and the
right.
And you need to create. This is not on-prem. This is a hybrid model. You need to create the gateway with your finance and operation in on-premise, and you can do it. But you need to configure a hybrid implementation to allow this.
Okay. There is one more question. Do you have experience with importing of vendor invoices that are related to projects?
Not yet. In this scenario, we only use purchase order. We think that is not so different, but of course, we need the project. Is an information in the entity, and for us, in theory, it's not a big deal, but it's something that we need to test in the future.
Maybe the project category is something that we can have issues, but
yeah, but this is the same. It's the same tricky part, like the category of purchase order.
Right.
The tricky part here when you receive a purchase invoice from a vendor is you can't use an item because the vendor don't have your items. Maybe external code for an item, but it's a tricky part. And normally you use category, and normally the approach in our customer is use a dummy category or a standard category, and then the user modify the category before posting the invoice. Mm-hmm. Because it's impossible to match the description of the invoice from a vendor with your categories. It's something difficult. And also, you need to put the financial dimension, the cost center, the main account, because this is something that you can extract directly from the invoice. And what is the department that asks for this invoice? What is the financial dimension of this invoice? You need to put manually in this kind of information.
All right.
Well, that was a really great session, and there have been few questions which you have answered very well. That's a nice session. It's really a great topic, and we're thankful that you have done it. And if there will be any more questions, we'll be sending it to you on the email, and people can contact you.
Thank you to you. Congratulations for this interesting event. We continue with the next session. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.